Hello all, Andy here, helping you build a career you love. Happy Thursday, or happy Tuesday, or happy any day of the week you're watching this. Love getting together with you every week, helping you build a career you love, because I believe everybody who works should be able to get up every morning and go to a job they love in a career they love. That's what it's all about. Today we're going to be talking about job descriptions, but not really just about job descriptions and how to look at them and interpret them. I want to talk with you about, if you have a job description, how do you chop it up, dissect it, look at it so you know what needs to go in your resume so that you can actually get the job interview. Once you get that job interview, how do you look at the job description to know which interview stories are going to carry the day, which ones are going to set you apart, what you need to include in them, and because, what do I always tell you, we're playing chess, not checkers. I know if I get that job interview, I'm actually going to get a job offer. And when I do, what information do I need to make an argument about what I'm worth? So we're also going to talk to you about how to foresee what goes into the salary negotiation so that when you get that offer and you say check, you can turn around and quickly say checkmate. So that's what today's all about. Get in the chat, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. I always love that. Put some question marks in front of your questions so Kara can find them, because we are going to do a nice Q&A after this, like we do every week. You know, before I get into the teaching, I always love to say hi. Bold Eagle, whoever you are welcome for what I know is going to be an amazing show. Marianne Palermo, you know I serve it up right when you need it. Great to have you. Andy, Reka, Donna, Kiru, oil and gas job hunting. I'm assuming you're an energy guy, as was I for a decade. Victor, what's up? Sebastian, good to see you, my Argentinian friend. Tanya, Sweatland. Oh, Sarah, that's Sarah. Great to see you the other day. Literally see you and everybody else. Okay. I'm looking at green lights. So let's get rolling. Job descriptions. All right. First thing is, I'm going to walk you through how I look at a job description. We're not talking about keywords here. That's remedial stuff. And you're my people. And we don't do remedial in this show because you deserve more. So I'm going to actually pull up a job description. I'm going to tell you where I got it from. And if you like what we go through today, I'm actually meeting with members of my job search coaching program tomorrow to run through a bunch of these. And so I asked them about a week ago if they would send me their job descriptions. So I got about, 70 or 80 of these that I looked through from people who were either interviewing for these jobs or interviewed for these jobs or wanted to apply for these jobs. And Mark P., hopefully you're here, Mark, because this is for you, gave me one that was a director of PMO for a technology consultancy. And I love that this has widespread application. So we're going to review this, and I'm going to pull this up here in a minute. So let's get right to it. If you are in my job search coaching program, I actually sent you an email yesterday to download this document. And what you're seeing, it's just a simple Word document that I made a PDF on. You might see some white space like this where I cut out names of the companies and some other things that I don't think were as germane. Now, one of the things that I want you to see as we go through this is I made a little legend because I put some markings to make it really visible for you as to things that I wanted to point out. Now, if you see something in yellow, I'm drawing your attention to something that, based in the job description, I actually think is relatively neutral, meaning every job candidate that they're talking to is going to have this, and it's common. It's easy experience to find. So you're not really going to separate yourself as a result of the yellows. Then there's some greens. Greens give you an opportunity to separate yourself because they're likely talking to some candidates who may not have the green. And then the blue, the electric blue, I guess that is, this is where the interview is won. Okay, so I hope that's pretty clear. It's not too tough to follow along. Don't worry about all the text and the copy, because this will stay up on YouTube and you can pause me or slow me down or whatever till your heart's content. But I did want to walk through it this way because I did want to give these little booklets to my boot campers, and I thought it was an easier way to illustrate this. So okay, so this organization, as I mentioned, is a technology consultancy. It's a marketing consultancy firm, but basically they're a digital firm. This is for a director of program management office, and if you're not entirely sure on what that is, think in terms of project managers who run projects. They could be IT projects, they could be construction projects. In this case, these are consultancy projects. And the program manager manages a portfolio of projects. So likely has project managers that report to him or her. And that person's job is to ensure that there is a structure in place, a methodology in place, an operating model in place to manage each of the different projects that theoretically should be contributing to a common goal or a common program. So this is kind of like a portfolio manager of projects, and they usually manage project managers who then manage people on the projects that run the projects. The business analysts, the team leaders, the functional analysts, the technology analysts, the tech team, the quality assurance team, whatever it is that is being implemented. Now, this says fastest. I highlighted that in yellow. All that means is the company's growing. So you're likely going to be operating in a reasonably fast-paced environment. Just something of note, because that might come up. I don't think it's a big deal, but it's worth pointing out. It's technology, personal touch of the boutique firm. So they say personal touch, but we also support organizations of large and small sizes, various sizes. I would file this away just in the event that they ask you if you've managed large projects. You're likely going, if you've managed large portfolios or large projects, it's going to be a lot easier to manage the small projects. But the personal touch has to do with making each client or each customer feel as though they're unique and special. So there is an element of openness, welcomeness, interaction, and other things that you're going to need to portray and demonstrate in the interview that come along with you, traits that come along with you. Now, the business intelligence, web design, creative, and infrastructure, the reason that that's green is because this job can be done by someone who does not have that expertise. Should you have that expertise in particular, where you're a program manager and you've implemented or run projects that are business intelligence related or web design or user interface related, you're going to have the domain expertise that's going to be a plus. You're not going to win the job because of this, but it will give you an opportunity or a leg up on other job candidates that don't necessarily have that, because in viewing this, not to mention recruiting for, I don't know, about 1,000 of these people, have never seen that to be a true requirement or indicator of success. So I'm willing to overlook that if a candidate doesn't have it. They're likely going to be in my recruitment process if they've got a lot of the other areas of expertise that I'm looking for. Customer sat. This is going to come up. You're going to need to demonstrate your customer satisfaction, customer service skills, but to the extent that you have opportunities that you can share where you did something that substantially increased customer satisfaction, I think that's going to play to your favor. I consider it a neutral. You could turn it into a separator if you try. Now, you're going to manage project management teams. Whoever this organization is interviewing is going to have managed project managers before. If you have not managed project managers before or managed a portfolio of projects, I probably wouldn't even bother to talk to you. Not because I don't think you can do it, but because I know I'm going to easily be able to find somebody who already has that experience. These are common skills. These are not difficult to find skills. So I don't view that as a separator in this case. Now, when we start to get into, process policies and all this other good stuff, that's all fine and good. But here's where we start to get into some of the teal stuff. This thing about aligning to company strategies and mission. Now, for those of you that are in my programs or those of you that come to the Thursday live shows, I make fun of these kind of words usually. They don't say a whole lot. They don't mean a whole lot. They're kind of esoteric and they don't really stand for much. This is one of the exceptions, because if you are a program manager who has worked on strategy, understands corporate and business strategy, growth strategies, or whatever it might be, this is where you're actually going to win the job. I'll talk specifically about how you do that here in a few minutes. But I want you to know this teal color right here, this electric blue, that's where you're going to win the job. I'm going to hire the person that most closely aligns to this. And I'll get really specific about what that is. And then the next element here that I want you to take note of is this selecting and implementing and improving PMO tools. That in and of itself, most of the individuals that I'm going to be interviewing are going to have those abilities. But if you have implemented from scratch an entire governance structure that includes this, it's also going to be where the job is won, because I'm going to get a lot of program managers that haven't actually implemented the governance structure from scratch with the tools and the assets that all the project managers for working on all the clients, or even internally, whether you're doing this internally or externally, are going to have. Okay, who's tracking with me so far? Is this fairly easy so far to understand? Give me a hey in the chat. I just want to make sure as I sip my delicious tea here that you guys are tracking. Give me a I'm tracking in the chat. All right, next couple of things. Here. Actually, wait, let me put this up here. Great. Next couple of things. The partnering with different divisions. Partnering with different divisions may sound pretty innocuous, except that if you are the kind of person that's running the portfolio and running the programs, you're dealing with a lot of business leaders. You could be dealing with other partners that are vendors that are contributing to your programs as well. But the person who actually is able to influence the leaders to whom they're either serving or working with is going to win the job from me, because I need somebody that can lead the charge. So it's not, to me, it's less important how effective you are at managing the project managers. Those are pretty easy skills. But the ones who can actually influence the people that they're supporting, that to me is going to be more of a rare individual. Having that consultative nature where you can make an argument that's so persuasive that you could get a business leader to open up their pocketbook or see things the way you want them to see it. That to me is a winner right there. The governance structure, that's going to be important. A lot of people that are interviewing for this role are going to have governance in their background. But again, I want to go back to the part about creating it from scratch. And we'll get to some of the details here in a minute. And then a few of the other things, creating statuses and summaries, being able to hire, all of that stuff grows on trees as far as I'm concerned. End-to-end delivery grows on trees. Now, delivery, sales, and marketing. If you are familiar with these domains, this is a marketing boutique firm. So I actually don't need those skills, but if you have those skills and you have the domain expertise, I'm going to favor you. Right, that you understand selling concepts, marketing concepts, delivery concepts. So that to me is important. Now, the funny thing is the requirements in this entire section, they basically said nothing. That's why you don't see anything highlighted. The rest of this stuff is actually pretty uneventful. The one thing that they didn't include was the salary. And it's difficult to tell how wide a range this is, but I'm not really concerned by that at the moment. Now, I want to talk for a second about if I was going to think about what was going to go into my resume that was going to ensure that I got an interview for this role. I think in terms of 8 major goals or accomplishments that employers care about. And I don't know if you saw my LinkedIn talk last week or basically any other talk I've ever said. This always comes up in some way, shape, or form is I'm thinking about what is it that I need to bubble up to the top of my resume, top of my discussions, everything. The dialogue should center around how I help organizations achieve these great 8 goals. If you're not familiar with these, basically, you're trying to help them increase their revenue, improve their market awareness, their customer attraction, their customer service, their corporate growth, right? Things like this, cost reduction, process efficiency, employee happiness. These are major goals. So if I'm the program manager, I want to make sure that the right great 8 goals get bubbled up to the top, and now I can align them to what's in this job description. So if I had to pick the 3 most important areas I would want to highlight on my resume right up at the top, these would be highlights numbers 1, 2, and 3. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, for those of you that don't go to the Andy School of Resume Writing, up at the top, there's a career summary, or I call it the career profile. It's an aggregation of all of your accomplishments. The next section is your resume highlights or your career highlights, which are not your most important accomplishments. These are not about you. These are enticers to show somebody else major impacts that you've made that they would be interested in hiring you because of, right? You may have accolades that you're super proud of, but if they're not the ones I care about, your resume loses potency, your marketability goes down. So what are the three that I would choose if I was the program manager? Let's talk about that to ensure that I could actually get the interview. Now, if you are in my job search coaching program, I have linked you here to the direct premium video or videos where you can figure this out. I give you nauseating detail as to how to go through this selection process. For those of you that are in the free domain, I'm going to just simply run through which ones I think are the most important and why. Client sat. This here is that you've run a program that has had major benefit to a client. It will preferably have multiple projects, not just a single project, and it will hit one of the big problems. I implemented a program where the best and most ideal in this case is a selling, marketing, or delivery, as they called for in the job description, portfolio. In the absence of that, pick something else that attributed to one of the grade 8. It is a singular initiative or a portfolio of initiatives that addressed one major business aspect. Okay, that's one. Number two, that goes to customer satisfaction, revenue, could be revenue generation, could be a number of those. Number two is infrastructure. I want the person who's built an entire methodology from scratch that includes efficient delivery of programs and projects, and also sets up analytical dashboards and other things of that nature. And the silver bullet is you created the entire governance strategy from scratch, meaning I walked into an organization, they didn't have a governance process. They just ran projects, they were hip shooters or whatever you want to call it, but I created it from scratch. This goes to methods, practices, process efficiency, the delivery and the on-time, the ability to develop a proposal on time or an accelerated pace increases win rates, helps generate revenue. The delivery of the projects go more efficiently. You don't have overruns. You're cost effective. You deliver on time, which also improves customer happiness. There's so many benefits that are addressed in developing infrastructure that's used on an ongoing basis, not to mention, but I will, the fact that this is the gift that keeps on giving, because all of those goals and accomplishments are done in perpetuity. Every single time your company does that, you're reaping the benefits of the efficiency you built one time. Okay, so that's number two. And then number three, I want the person who actually can influence decision-making. By the way, the bullet highlight is not leadership and influence. That's the topic. You're always writing your bullet in terms of the goals that you're addressing. But what I want to see is, did you build something, do something that changed the course of nature, right? I built an executive dashboard from the analytics that we gathered from either what the program was doing or on behalf of the program that enabled the leaders to see what I needed them to see faster, more effectively, more clearly, to make better business decisions that resulted in some of the great 8 benefits. Okay, that's the third bullet. All right, so now in my resume, if I've got bullets related to that or some variation of, those are the ones I'm tackling. So far, so good? Do you see why we want these? Now, in general, if you're running projects or you're running programs or you're running operations, okay, any of you that are doing any of those, these apply. But these especially apply to this particular job description. Okay, now let's get into, well, all right, I want to win the interview. I want you to look at a couple of things here and we'll kind of break this down. But when I think about the interview story that everybody's going to tell, everybody's going to have some program that they managed. Yawn. I mean, it's practically coma-inducing. Okay, so I know that everybody in the interviewing process and any of the candidates that I talk to, if I'm recruiting for this, are going to have those skills. Okay, so you are totally, totally neutral if you tell me about a project that went well. Do you get that? There's nothing exciting about a program that went well. I would expect that you're going to tell me that. I would have expected that from your resume. So right now you haven't done anything for me yet. You haven't changed my initial inclination about you. All right? So everybody's going to be able to do that. So all of you, momentary point of reflection here. How many of you thought, Andy, I didn't get the job. Why? I was perfect for the job. Because you told an efficient story about how you did something effectively that's the same as anybody else could tell. You get what I'm saying, right? Just because you were a perfect match doesn't mean you were the best match, right? In your mind, you were a perfect match because you checked a bunch of boxes off. That doesn't make you my best match, okay? All right, so now, what makes you the best match? This one right here. You built a PMO that was in alignment with a corporate strategy that you tied it back to or participated in based on ROI, payback periods, compounding benefits of sequencing your projects, and so on and so forth. All right, let me tell you about Alex. So, y'all are here, right? Andy, I'm here. I want the job one step up. I want the responsibilities one step up. And Andy, you know damn well I want the pay that goes one or two steps up, right? Right? You guys get this, right? Okay. So I work with this woman, Alex, and she's awesome. And she's a program manager. And she's run projects at big telecommunications companies. She's run projects at big insurance companies. And she's done a bunch of other awesome stuff. She's just basically awesome. And she emails me and says, Annie, I need a session. I've got this opportunity with this financial company, and an executive recruiter contacted me. I really want to go in and impress them. And sounds kind of cool. And it was kind of cool because this is a situation where there was a CIO, there was a contractor that the CIO had a long-standing relationship with. It's two women that were running the IT department. And the IT department had some older technologies. They had 200 project managers running IT projects. I want you to imagine, that's a lot of projects. Now, Alex is what I would say like a mid-senior person, not uber senior, probably make somewhere in the mid to high 100s in salary at this time, had run projects efficiently at this time, and wanted some help. So we were getting ready to prepare for the interview, and I said to her, okay, let's work on the base story. So for those of you that have had interview coaching with me, you know there is a story that carries the day. It's the story you're going to use for most of the interview, probably for all of the interviews. You don't need many stories. You need one major story that aligns to what they need you to do. You want to demonstrate that you've done it, but you really want to get them talking about how you're going to do it in the future. And this was about how they were going to set up their PMO. So I said to her, okay, pick your money story, and I want you to tell me the story like you would tell me. Let's see what we're working with. Let's give this a start. So Alex, in orderly fashion, starts telling me how to build a PMO in step 1 and step 2 and step 3. And about 30 seconds into this, I was like, okay, let's stop the story right there. No story ever starts with an efficient way of how you built anything you built that goes for all of you. So I said, Alex, you're here. And you're telling them how you're going to build an efficient PMO. Do you want to tell them how to build an efficient PMO, or do you want to get hired, right? Kind of thing. This is not about how you do what you do. This is about how you tell a story about what you're going to do, but you also need to know where the story starts and which story to tell them. So I said, when you get into the process, you need to make what you're about to say and all the details matter of fact, like any idiot can do this. Right? Anybody that goes and gets the PMP handbook can tell you how to set up a project or how to run a PMO or how to do any of this. Anybody can do that. Anybody. Even if you don't have the experience, you can do that. Right. So what you need to explain to them is how they need to think and how they need to create a successful PMO that's going to help them achieve their business goals. So you don't start the story where they ask the question. And none of you, do not confuse the way you answer questions with what question was being asked. You are answering questions with what information they need to sell you best. Okay, so you don't start the story with, this is how I build a PMO. You'll get to that. You start the story with, the best PMOs are the ones that are set up as a result of the corporate strategy. You have to look at the corporate strategy. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What are your biggest goals that are going to generate you the most money, that are going to save you the most money, or that are going to reduce your risk or any exposure that you have? That's it. That's all I care about. Tell me what those are. Tell me what your initiatives are. Do not walk into employers. I'm telling you all, just because they tell you they have a problem, how would you solve it? You need to get to the spot where this is what you need to do so you never had the problem in the first place. Or this is where you need to get so that when I set the PMO up, which I could do in my sleep, and I'm going to give you all the steps to help you be assured that I can do that. The reason you can sleep well at night is because I'm going to set you up a structure that's going to get you what you need at the top level, not at the mid level. Anybody can do that. Anybody can give you the steps. So what are the goals? What do we need to address? I'm going to optimize and prioritize the projects based on data of what you're going to get as a result of implementing this first, this second, and so on. And yes, we're going to take the synergy, and yes, I'm going to make sure that it's optimized from a resource standpoint, and yes, we're going to sequence things in terms of what makes sense. But if it doesn't tie back to ultimately what the business needs, the PMO is ineffective, even if it's well run. The story has to start there. So you need to step back and make sure that if you're going to tell them how you're going to do something, that you elevate it to their strategy. What is it that we need to accomplish? Don't ask me how I'm going to put this together. I'll tell you how I'm going to put this together based on what you need it to do. That immediately elevates you because no one's going to start there. And no one's going to think to step back and answer the question that they actually need answered. They're going to answer the question that was asked, which was poorly designed and not a great indication of who the actual best candidate is. And I don't even care who the best candidate is. I care that you get the job so that you know. And she'd never done that before, and it didn't even matter because all she needed to do was say that, and she did. And guess what? Instead of making 160, she makes 240, right? Because all of a sudden I can find 10 people who can do this. She's the only one that said this. Now this makes sense to me, right? It only makes sense after somebody says it. So when you want to look at, this goes for any of you interviewing for any role, step up. What's the step up part of the conversation that needs to occur? So that's the thing that's actually going to win the day. So she tells this story and she got the job, as you can imagine. Now let's run through this just for completeness sake. Your stories that you're going to tell in the interview, they need to include these components. Now, if you have a story, fortunate enough, that includes all of these, you're golden. If you're not, if you don't, then if you're in my premium coaching, in my job search coaching program, I've taught you how to Frankenstein stories and fracture stories in order to include components that help you check the boxes that you need to check in order to show them that you have everything that you need to have, even if it's not in the one story you want to tell them. But I tell you how to conflate this stuff to make it sound like a singular event. Anyway, just for purposes of illustration here, if you can choose a solution that is BI related or sales or marketing related or BI/sales and marketing related, that's gold. If it's bigger, it's better, right? Even though we work with clients of all sizes, by default, if you can work with a big one, you can work with a small one. The reverse is not true. So I would rather you pick a bigger one than a smaller one. Any project that requires you to actually implement the governance for the very first time is going to win. That's going to carry the day because most project manager or most program managers will have implemented methodologies that were already in existence. If you were the one that needed to pioneer it, that's going to give you a leg up. This goes back to the electric blue stuff that I was pointing to earlier. When I set up here, the one that's going to carry the day is when you align to strategy here, and the tools in and of themselves were pioneered. I think that was, maybe that was in a different job description. But basically, I'm looking for the pioneer who can align this to the strategy and has built all of it. support of the business leaders. So where I convinced these individuals to go with my recommendations or to expand and open their pocketbook because it made financial sense for them to accelerate or even decelerate scope or whatever it was that you talked them into because you're a fast-talking Svengali kind of thing. Management of project managers, you got to have the fact that you've managed people. A half a dozen would be nice. They probably manage 50 people each, and so on and so forth. And then you want cost-effective delivery or portfolio adherence to the budget, right? So these are the kind of things you really want to look at from a inventory of what needs to go into the stories. Okay, we tracking so far? Wait, you know what? If you are loving this, wait, we ain't even done, man. I haven't even got to the money part yet. If you're loving this, give me a thumbs up. Give me a, that means click the like button. And share this. People need help. People need help. It's December. They're going to the holidays. We want them feeling good. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Robert Clark. Okay, so now, what do I always tell you? Why do people fail? Because they didn't plan to succeed. If I get an interview, I'm telling you this. If you get an interview, you should get the job. You should. Period. Hard stop. If I get an interview, I'm getting the job. When I get the job offer, what is it that I need to know in order to A, make a good decision? That's for another day. But B, what am I going to argue about why I'm worth more? Not only am I the right person, but you need to pay me more. And so I've also taught you before how to keep a diary along the way. In order to keep a diary that's effective, you need to know what to include in the diary. In order to know what to include in the diary, you need to look at the job description to make sure you know what's important to them, and you're collecting data along the way from, this is what they're going to need me to do. By the way, that can change from the time you start the process to the time you finish. The scope of your role can change. It might go up, might go down, right? Kind of thing. You're going to talk to people along the way that are going to work with you. How are you going to support them? You're going to talk to people along the way that might be on your team, other program managers. What do I have that they don't have? Right? You got to be thinking, right? This is chess, not checkers. So in order for you not to be flat-footed at the time you get the job offer or the time they say, hey, Andy, what do you want? What's it going to take? What's your, you wouldn't tell us your expected salary. What do you want now? Right? What are you going to do when you get right up to the table? Now, let's talk about that. So those folks that are in my job search coaching program, we talk about the grid. Okay? You create the grid, and the grid is a way for you to create a visual that shows your value in alignment with what it is they want you to accomplish to the extent you're going to do that, why they need to pay you more, but it also gets congruence and agreement on what it is that you're going to do and how success is going to be measured and what your success is going to mean to them. Okay? Now, if you're in my job search coaching program, we just did the salary negotiation workshop hot off the press like a week or two ago. There's a video in there called Preparing for Your Negotiation, Identifying Your Value and Questions. Or if you're watching in the main bootcamp product, there's an older version, similar teaching, called Salary Negotiation Tactics with Role Definition. This, what I'm about to give you, are some components you are going to want to include in your role definition because these are going to be the key indicators of where the money's going to come from, why they're going to want to pay you more. So the first one is building of the infrastructure. Now, they might have an existing infrastructure of governance and PMO methodology and project management methodology and everything from steering committees to status meetings to whatever. You're either going to build it from scratch or you're going to improve what they have. And when you improve what they have or build it from scratch, you're going to attach efficiencies to the delivery of the projects. Now, this particular PMO role happens to be a consultancy, which means I'm going to create the pro forma templates for every project that we create that's of a particular kind, whether it's strategy, whether it's implementation, whether it's whatever, remediation, or whatever. We're going to be able to put our proposals together faster. That's going to take less time. We're going to be able to deliver it faster. That's going to save money. It might be able to create more profit or create lower price tags that'll make it more attractive, but still high value for our customers. We're going to make sure that we don't have overruns, which are going to keep our costs as a company from an operating expense down, and so on and so forth. This is one element of that. There could be project efficiency. There could actually be efficiencies gained in each of the projects that you're going to be running for which you've created this new methodology, this improved methodology, and so on. Not to mention, it could be from a visibility standpoint where you're creating dashboards and other things. Do not assume that this is in place. This is the stuff you need to gather, but this is where you're going to make more money, because I'm going to pay more money for somebody who I'm confident can actually build me all of this or review and fix all of this, as opposed to somebody who's just a program manager, right? And then you got a lot of you project managers thinking, well, Andy, I can step up into that. You can, but I'm hiring the person who actually can build me all this other stuff. Now, am I worried about you being able to handle a portfolio? That's one worry. But it's not even a thought that you can build me all the infrastructure. This is why you wonder, why can I just step up? Maybe, but if you're competing against me, I'm going to go after this kind of thing. Okay, tool identification could be another area. Some of this can be conflated. Some of this could be separated. These are just ideas in the event that you discover in this role that they have some or they don't have some. I am identifying every damn tool that they do not have that I'm going to build. And when I come to the negotiating table, I'm going to say, I'm going to build you these 12 tools that you need, that you don't have. You need to pay me for that. It's not just my job to manage portfolios. Okay, this is what separates the person who gets paid $160 from the person who gets paid $240. Okay, customer sat. Where are we? What's our benchmark? Oh, we don't even have a customer satisfaction process where we're evaluating our teams every quarter. We're checking in with our customers. I'll put that in place. Okay, we'll also benchmark it, and then I'm gonna improve it. We're going to go, and the first day on the job, I'm going to give you a form that all our project managers have to ask all of our clients. I want it filled out immediately. Then in 6 months, we're going to take it again, and you're going to give me a bonus based on how much I improve it. I'm not asking you to give me the money. I'm asking you to earn. I want to earn it, but you're going to attach that to my bonus kind of thing. What about political capital and relationships with business unit leaders? I am definitely assessing where this particular IT department or whatever fits with the business leaders. Are we loved? Are we listened to? Are we not? I will get us listened to, kind of thing, right? And then employee management. So this just gives you an idea of some of the biggies. All of these are affiliated with the Great Eight, but when you go to a negotiating table, if you're going to tell me, Andy, you need to pay me more because the market, you know what? When the market goes down, I'm taking your money away. Is that going to be your argument? No. Let's go back to Alex. I said to her, Alex, you're telling them how to put steps together in a PMO. You don't pay the plumber to bang on the pipes, right? You pay the plumber because the plumber knows where to bang. Right? If you want to talk to me about PVC pipes and valves and fittings, I can undo underneath my kitchen sink by myself, and I don't know anything about plumbing. Right? It's a bunch of twists and turns. Right? I need you to know that the backup is here in the house, and that's where we need to go, kind of thing. When you're telling your stories, are you talking about banging on pipes? Are you talking about where to bang? So when you get to the negotiating table, what are they paying you for? Right? Paying you to do this job, I'll just pay you the $160 kind of thing. You're going to do all this other stuff? I'm happy to pay a lot more, because the other $80K is peanuts compared to what I'm going to get in terms of cost efficiency, accelerated proposal development, wins, increased wins, employee happiness, political capital that we don't have, and so on and so forth. So I want you to think about it. When you look at a job description, I want you to take a step back. Think, what's my resume need to look like? What are the most important elements that I need to highlight? Not what are the most important things I've ever done in my life or what am I most proud of. I don't care about any of that. I care about the ones that match what the employer needs. when you get into the interviewing process, think in terms of what's the story that's going to elevate me above all the other candidates. And just so you know, if you say, well, Andy, that example you used with Alex about the strategy, I haven't done that before. She didn't either. You just need to know what that is and start having a dialogue around this. Okay. And then when you get to the negotiating table, you should have been accumulating all this data along the way so that when you think about what are they going to pay for, they're not paying you to bang on the pipes. Remember, they're paying you to know where to bang. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed that. 40 minutes, I'm living right. This will live up on YouTube. You can come back to this. If you like this, I'm doing more of these tomorrow. We're going into HR. We're going into marketing. We got another account management sales one. We got some holiday stuff we're going to be talking about. We got some Q&A we're going to be doing. And so if you're watching this on the recording, I'll see you next week. If you're here with me live, we're going to the chat. All right, let's get your questions in order. I want to give you a couple of quick announcements because of a couple things. Number one, I haven't talked about this much lately. For almost, for almost 6 years now, we've been giving away the Interview Intervention book. This hard book is $28.95. That's what it sells for on Amazon. The ebook sells for $8.99. And there is no audiobook anywhere except from me. So for $7, if you kick in to pay for the envelope that this goes into, and the dudes I got to pay at the warehouse to pick it and pack it and get it into the right postal service vehicles for you, I'll ship it anywhere in the world for $7. And there's some other bonuses. It's like an $80 or $90 package when you add it all up. So grab that. It's a budget friendly, right? The ebook alone is $9, $8.99 on Amazon. And so grab that. The other thing is tomorrow I mentioned I have a group coaching session with members of my job search coaching program. The program was on sale because we did this promotion when I did the job search challenge back in November. And then we did the salary negotiation workshop. And tomorrow it went off sale. It's back on sale. And tomorrow ends the 2023 sale of the program. It also ends the package that we are currently offering will no longer exist in 2024. If you are interested in joining, Kara can drop the link in the chat. I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail about what it is, but I do want to give you 1 minute so you know where to go, because the sale ends for this interactive service package. The sale ends tomorrow at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time. And this is my job search coaching program. You got less than 24 hours. You can go here and read about all kinds of success stories and such. Here's the super fast. It's everything you could possibly imagine to find your dream job and get paid what you deserve. It comes in the form of 5 main modules that address each facet of the job search. You got all the tools and template. You get lifetime access no matter what your enrollment is. But I take you through everything. Finding yourself, marketing yourself, job searching, interviewing, negotiating, and so on. There's a bunch of other goodies. We've got a whole bunch of group coaching sessions that are coming up. One of them is tomorrow. Now, this program is not going to be on sale until the end of January again, as you can probably see by those dates. So if you're on the fence, you got 3 options. The self-study option is $6.97. The interactive service package, and what that means is you not only get all the online library and all the packaged up stuff that you can go through at your own pace, but you also get to come to the more than 24 private group coaching sessions. So not like live office hours, but these are only for paying members. We do them via Zoom. And the other thing that these interactive service package members get is they get online support from me. And all of that is for life. Online support for life, group coaching for life, online videos and all my enhancements for life. And then I do have a VIP pack, which is a bit more expensive, but that's also because it includes one-to-one coaching, a whole marketing review, and other things. This one here is normally $997, so you can get it for a couple of $100 off. I do offer individual coaching sessions and resume reviews as add-on services, meaning those are a la carte, and you can enroll in those separately. Unless you're in the VIP pack, then you got one of each of those rolled in, and the resume review is so cool because for VIPs I do an entire marketing review where I review your cover letters, I review your LinkedIn profile, I review your resume, and then I mark it all up, and then I shoot you a video. They're pretty cool. I do a screen flow video for you. I walk you through everything. They're awesome. Awesome fun. If you own one of the job searching training programs in the Mile Walk Academy, we will give you a dollar for dollar credit. So if you paid $97 for a program or $297, we lop that off the $797 or $697 or whatever. If you have any questions, email us at support@milewalk.com. Kara will help you. I do not offer refunds. If you are not sure, don't enroll. That's it on that. I do have a video answering some questions. There are a ton of video testimonials and other things that you can watch. There's people of all ages, of all sizes and shapes and professions and countries and so on and so forth. Okay, that's my 3 minutes on that. That's it. So it's going to be full price from tomorrow at 11 my time until the end of January. So, and one of the things that there are currently some job search mini camps that are each about $500. There's 3 of those. All that stuff's coming out of the library for the new members that are enrolling after tomorrow. So if you got any questions, I'm happy to talk about that. And one other thing to note is next Friday, I have a leadership group. That's a different curriculum. I talk about career development, and basically my job search coaching program is about finding your job. My leadership coaching program is about, as you would imagine, becoming a leader, developing your career. Next Friday, so tomorrow I'm meeting with my job searchers. Next Friday, I'm meeting with my leaders on goal setting. So any questions you have, I'm happy to answer. Let's get to your questions. Ian, boot camper since 20, never seen this. Ian, what I showed you, I engineered this most of the time. These are things I do with individuals on a one-to-one basis because I can specifically tailor what they have to what they need, pound for pound, dollar for dollar. It's a good spend of your money because the value's super high. So I tried to engineer it. You're going to have a bunch of this stuff in your library tomorrow, not just today's. And by the way, I know I did this one for free to the public. If you're in my job search coaching program, I'll clip out this video and put it in your library just so you have it. So it's easy for you to find in the organized library. And then you're going to have more of these tomorrow that we're going to go through. And I'm going to go through another 3 or so and obviously take your questions. All right. How do I know when a job is way over my ability, but I've done many of the previous experiences? I've sold and onboarded hundreds of companies to a CRM, but our firm is under 20 million. It isn't about how big your firm is. It is about those reps, meaning repetitions. Okay, I have a company of a couple of full-time people. That's me and Kara. We use some part-time people, okay, like videographers and tech people and some others. Do you have any idea how many millions of people we've helped in our life? Kind of thing. And you could go and you could hire some career coach who is an executive coach, and they work for a large firm that your large company is going to pay them a lot of money to coach them. Or you can come to me, who's got 35 years of experience, has seen over 350 companies as a consultant recruiter, and we're not even going to talk about as a career coach because that's countless. It isn't about the size of the company you work for. It's the impact I can make for you because of what I've seen and the fact that I know all 4,400 chords. I've seen all this stuff in every inhabited continent. We have people in nearly 200 countries that pay for our products. So just because your company is under 20 million doesn't mean anything. So if you've onboarded organizations to CRM solutions, then it would be, well, what kind of CRM solution is it? Is it a $500 desktop product? Is it an Oracle product? Is it a major software as a service product? And what are the business challenges that those organizations have faced? What do you know? Talk about that and the impact that it had for those businesses. So that's what I would say to that. Issa, what's up? Career change, 22 years in mortgage lending. What tests do you recommend to take to help identify potential new career that will fit current skill sets? Okay, I'm going to give you a couple here, and I'm only going to give you a couple, Issa, because I'm always reluctant to recommend things that I have not used or I have not gotten massive amounts of feedback that they work. I'm not a big what color is your parachute kind of guy. It's ridiculous. You can't have 200 different options. So one of the sites that I do recommend, by the way, I get no money for this, no affiliation. Right now, Andy has 0 affiliations, okay? So if you ever listen to me, I will tell you if I'm getting money, I am not recommending anybody's products or any of that stuff where I'm actually getting money. Nothing, 0. YouScience, YouScience.com. I think it used to be like $29. It might be a little higher. You might be able to get a coupon where you can go into this and actually load your information, load your background, load your history, load your educational information. There's a whole bunch of demographic stuff that they look for, and they spit out some information. We have had a number of the boot campers use it. They've all liked it. Some loved it. Some liked it, but nobody said it was bad, okay? And so that's one option. The other thing I would do is I would take your resume, I would go into ChatGPT, I would say to ChatGPT, I've been in mortgage lending for 22 years. I'm going to give you my resume. I'd love to know, can you give me 5 alternate careers you think I would be equipped to do? Go through this. Wait, you're just looking for ideas, right? And I would go through various options. Now, mind you, you're asking me what tools. I do this with people one-on-one where I can look at what you're doing and I can tell you because I have that range. But like those are a couple of ways that you can get it rolling. And what you're really trying to do is you're trying to translate, well, I like this. What do I have that translates into helping support my ability to market myself, interview well, and so on? And if you're making a wholesale career change, you're going to need to lean on your network a lot. You need to be spending a lot of time networking. Boss hunting is not effective for career changers. So those are a few options. Danielle Warren. Interviews are the easiest part. Getting interviews the last 9 to 12 months has been practically impossible. How do you suggest getting more interviews? First off, Danielle, I would argue getting interviews is the easiest part. Passing the interview or getting the job is the hardest part. That's in my opinion, as somebody who's seen 30,000 interviews or done them or observed them or debriefed them or whatever. And the reason that the interviews are the challenging part is because of all the communication gaps that exist. And so, don't fall victim to the entitlement trap where you think that life is fair and that the best candidate gets the job. That's not the case. So it's the candidate who can show their fit and value through the best storytelling and aligning how they fit and will help that employer achieve their goals, what the transformation is going to look like. The reason I'm going to give you a general answer. And by the way, I'm not like giving you one off the cuff that I'm pulling out of my butt here. I'm telling you from thousands upon thousands of interactions with people and observing job searches and coaching people that the reason people do not surface interviews, reason number 1 is they're going about it the wrong way. Reason number two, if they were going about it the right way, they often are not consistent. So let me tell you what those are. If you are applying for jobs, I don't know, Danielle, if the last 9 to 12 months, if you're going to tell me I've been sticking my resume into the applicant trashing system, which is what I call the applicant tracking system, which is the absolute worst way to get a job. It is the least effective, lowest probability, biggest waste of time against boss hunting if you actually have these skills, meaning I'm a seller and I'm going to target the VP of sales. I'm a marketer, I'm going to target the director of marketing, the VP of marketing, the chief marketing officer. It's not I'm a seller and I want to be changed to a product manager, so I'm going to target the chief product owner. No, that's not going to work because you don't have the requisite skills. So the second thing is if you're applying online, that's bad. Zeros. Those count for zeros. If you go to the next step, which to me, boss hunting is the most effective way to get a job, then are you targeting the right organizations? Do you have the right credentials? Are you crafting the right messages? And then what I mentioned, are you being consistent? So I don't know if you saw my job search challenge. I unlocked my actually, it's a many module program, but I unlocked 5 modules that we went through in the middle of November, beginning of November. And I showed you how to actually job search. If you did not, well, it's not public anymore. If you did not see that, or you're newer to my community, I have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel that are labeled Job Search Challenge. You're going to get the 30-minute version, not the 15 or 20-hour version kind of thing. That's what I'm talking about when I say job searching. Much of the time, even if you are boss hunting, what I find is that people are not surfacing jobs or interviews because they're not being consistent each day. The job search challenge calls for you to have 3 reach outs every day. That's 15 a week, or if you want to add the weekends, right? That's a few more, 21 a week. But it is not impossible to get interviews. It is not impossible. There's still a lot of job openings, and there are always a lot of job openings. And right now, November through February, right, I always say is the best time to be job searching. I wake up every day to no less than a half a dozen victory emails, and these are the only people that are actually sending me the messages. God only knows what the other people are doing who are not reaching back to me and closing the loop about the jobs they're getting. So that's not my experience. I'm telling you, conditions are good. They are. When people freak out about, well, I'm reading about all these layoffs. Yeah, no, you're reading news that is being put in front of your face by a very small select number of companies that are letting people go, and you think every company is doing that. It's not. There are jobs out there. There are. So hang in there. Let's see. What is this? Database. What if I can only afford the self-study? What would I miss? Okay, that is a great question. So let me show you this. On this page, any of you that are looking at this page or decide to look at this page in the next 24 hours, every single thing on this page is included in the self-study, with the exception of online support and live group coaching. And if you're wondering what the live group coaching looks like, every month I meet with members of this program. Some months I meet once, some months I meet twice, some months I meet 4 times. Last month we met 3 times for like 3 hours a time. And so you would miss out on that, and you would not be able to ask me your questions in the system. So for the extra $100, I'm telling you that you get lifetime access to all of this stuff. That's the difference. Now, the next question might be, Andy, if I pay the $697, can I upgrade later? Yes. You email us, and then Kara's going to say, here's the difference. If you pay $797 and you say, Andy, that marketing review sounded really cool, can I get one of those? I just want the marketing review, or I want a coaching session, or you can add those a la carte, or you can step up to the VIP, but we just have you pay the difference. So once you're in the Mile Walk Academy, you kind of get special treatment, and we always give you the up. So if you pay $697 right now, even if the program's not on sale, we always give you the sale rate because you're part of our people, right? You're part of our premium people. I'm not here to gouge you. I want you to get a job. Dang it, and I want you to crush it. And there's a bunch of bonuses. I didn't even go into all the extra stuff you get because I wanted to try to keep this session today tight. But if you got any questions or any more, please ask or hit us up at support@milewalk.com, and Kara or I will more likely, you got a 90% chance Kara's going to answer you, but she or I will answer you. Gwen, is it fair to say resume is to pass the first screening stage to get an interview? Yes. Once you get an interview, your resume doesn't have much power. No. Actually, it sounds a little odd, okay? But let me be really clear. If on my resume, it says I manage the customer service team, that doesn't really tell me a whole lot. And so if you are fortunate enough to get an interview, I'm going to have to ask you a bunch of questions about what you do, and I'm likely going to ask you generic questions like tell me about a time when. If, however, you've written your bullets, you've highlighted the goals and the accomplishments that you've attained, how you've done that, I'm going to be so enticed that I'm going to want to talk specifically about that. So let me go back to something I showed you before. When I said to you, these highlights, if I put this on my resume, I guarantee you 100% probability, no variation, that an interviewer will ask you how you did that. And what is the difference between a what and a how? So if you say, I ran the customer service team, I'm going to have to say, what? How? Tell me about a time when. Tell me a what. If you say, I improved customer service by implementing a system that did this, that, and the other thing, I'm going to say, how did you do that? You want me in an interview to ask you, how did you do that? Why? Because now you're going to regale me with that awesome accomplishment that you know I care about, which is a leading indicator of what you're going to need to do in the new job, versus I'm asking you other questions to try to get clarification of what you do, what actually happened as a result of what you do. Then I have to determine if I even care about that. And now you're burning minutes in your interview and you're not selling yourself. You're answering clarifying questions, or worse, you're answering silly behavioral interview questions that have nothing to do with how you're going to perform in the job. The other thing is, when you construct, okay, let's see, it's Thursday. On Monday, I've had so many coaching sessions the last 3 days. I had like 3 or 4 a day, every day. And then I think it was Tuesday, I had 3 in a row, 3 women in a row, and all different types of individuals. And to every single one of them, all 3 of them asked me, Andy, I get this, tell me about a time when you failed question. To which they say, I get nervous and I'm not sure and this and that. I'm like, hold on. Okay, number one, it's a dumb question, but that's okay because we can't control that, right? I can only control your preparation or influence your preparation, not the questions you're going to ask you. So then I said to each one of them, I asked the same question. Do you usually get that question after they ask you about a raging success or a strength? Every single one of them said yes, because that stands to reason. Tell me about a success. Tell me about a failure. Much of the time, that's the sequence. Okay, now you saw the job description and you saw the breakdown and you saw how somebody can prepare for that. Okay, I'm going to go into the interview. If they ask me, Andy, can you tell me about a challenge you overcame? Andy, can you tell me about a raging success? Andy, could you tell me how you did that project? Andy, can you tell me how you built the this and that? They're getting the same exact story. Any question they ask me, I'm going to my bread and butter question that aligns to what they need me to do, and I'm going to tell them that, and I'm going to give it to them in full. Then they're going to say, and if they say, tell me about a great outcome, a huge success, you're getting that story, number one. And then when they say, Andy, tell me about a time you failed, I'm going to say, you know that story I just told you that was so awesome that already makes you want to hire me, but you asked me this question as a matter of formality anyway? Right. Well, there was this step inside that project where when I hit this, we actually hit a big snag. That's the story you tell. It's not just when you tell the story, it's which failure you choose in the context of the greater success It always happens that way. So what you're doing is you're now talking about something that they know ended well. You overcome it, obviously, because you brought it up inside a success story, and so on. So when we were prepping for their interviews, we gave them their backbone story, I call it. And then we gave them the pick of the failure. We gave them the pick of the obstacles. We gave them the pick of the whatevers. We gave them the pick of the disagreement. Like everything comes out of the same tree. It's just a different leaf. Okay, so you're not trying to, many of you are trying to figure out how to answer individual interview questions. That does not win you the job. Figuring out how to sell yourself according to what they need wins you the job. You then pick the story from that and nothing else. So when you talk about, Gwen, this is a great question, because when you talk about does the resume set you up, this bullet, this story is on the resume and it's probably up top. I could be 90% sure they're going to ask me about it. And then everything's going to fall out from there. And my prep becomes expedited and everything else makes more sense to them. So that's a great question. Resume doesn't just get you an interview, it sets the table for the how, not the what. That's a great question. Helen O, what's up? So Helen is asking, can you please show us how to read a job description and how to decode it? That was what I just did, and we're going to do more of that tomorrow. And what should be highlighted and what shouldn't. And that's what we're doing tomorrow. So this is going to apply. And I picked a number of job descriptions where it's going to transcend. Jimmy, what's up, buddy? Do these discussions occur at the phone screening by HR or an interview with the department worker? Okay, so the HR or recruitment person who's screening you, and usually it's somebody like that. It could be the hiring official. You might have that. When you say, do these discussions occur? The discussion that occurs with the HR person is going to be slightly different, probably, than the one that occurs with the hiring official. If I'm preparing for a screen, I'm looking at all this stuff, but I know I'm not going to have to negotiate. I know I'm not going to have to get the data around the negotiation, but I am going to be ascertaining information about, right, what's been missing in the candidates, what's the team unable to do, why haven't they met their goals, what's their biggest challenge, this, that, and the other thing, where do they expect to be, what kind of person fits in the organization, and all that stuff. And then I'm answering the fluffy HR questions. A lot of what you saw today is going to be reserved for the second, third, fourth interviews. Elma, hey, Andy, any tips for interview prep when you interview on short notice, the following day or the next? So number one, I said somewhere along the way in the talk about planning for success. If you're doing job searching right, so Elma, I'm going to answer your question, but I want to eradicate your question before it ever becomes an issue. So I tell the people in my program that I want you to go through the program first, and I want you to understand what the blueprint looks like. That means you know who you are, you know why you are who you are, you know where you're going, you know what questions to ask when you surface opportunities. Those questions are generated before you have an interview, before you even look at a company. Okay, you play defense first. Then you put your marketing material together, your resume, your covers, your whatever, your boilerplates, before you reach out based on where you want to go, not where you've been. Then you bring yourself to market. Now, before you bring yourself to market, I've already prepped my base story. I know as the PMO person, before I even send a resume out, I'm going with Andy's story number 2. It's going to be in every interview. I don't need to prep it. It's already prepped. So if I sent somebody a message this morning and they get back to me this afternoon and say, Andy, you are the bomb. Can we talk tomorrow? Yeah. Now I'm just looking at I'm taking a deeper dive into them, their company, who I'm interviewing with. I'm assuming they gave me the names. If they have a job description, whatever, like I'm looking through that at a deeper level, but that shouldn't take me very long. And all that other stuff, why are you leaving? Why are you open to leave? Why did you leave your company? Why do you want to come here? All that stuff is very easy, right? So my point is, you are locked and loaded before you, right? Before you put the live ammunition in the gun, so to speak. All right, now you're going to say, Andy, that's great, but I didn't hear you until now. right? Well, Elma, you're a boot camper, so you should hurt me till now. But we're forgiving in the Mile Academy. So for you, what I would say to them is, okay, if they say, can you talk? If you ever get a phone call and they want to get you and talk to you on the phone, you don't, right? The longer you're on the phone, the worse it is for you. So if somebody actually picks up the phone and does an email and you says, hey, Elma, this is great. I want to talk to you. You got a few minutes? Andy, I would love to talk to you. I'm right in the middle of something. Can we set something up for tomorrow or the next day? Get off the phone. Make sure you're in order. Second thing is, if they email you and say, Elma, could you talk to me? It's Friday, can you talk to me tomorrow? It's Tuesday. Can you talk to me Wednesday or Thursday? Go for Thursday. Give yourself a little more time. If they say, hey, can you talk tomorrow morning? And you really want to talk to them, I don't have a problem with that. But then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to assemble all the things that you're going to need to have in order before then, which is a tall order when you haven't done this before. So what you're doing is you're going in half cocked. So I don't recommend doing that. So for all of you that have the luxury of being able to plan this out before you get going, please do that. For any of you that get these short notice things, I would make sure I focus on that interviewer. I have my bread and butter stories as it relates to that interviewer, my questions as it relates to that interviewer, and just I would siphon out. So for some of you that go to the Andy School of Methodology that have all of this stuff, everything that you do is broken down into pieces that are easily managed by you. So depending on who might short notice, if it's the HR person or the recruiter, it's not as big a deal as if it's the hiring official, because I have to have more ammunition. So it's picking and choosing. And so if it's the HR person or recruiter, I could talk to you in an hour, or I could talk to you the next day or the next day. If it's the hiring official, I want a little more time to prepare. If I got to put something together for a panel, I need even more time. So that's how I would think through that. David Snow, what do you mean by an interview story? Please, Andy, you are welcome and anytime. When I say interview story, I mean a response to an interview question. So your interview story could be your intro. Tell me about yourself, right? Give me a quick intro, or walk me through your resume. It could be, Andy, how did you build that PMO methodology? That's a story. Andy, tell me about a time you failed. That's a story. Whatever comes in the wake of a question, that's a story. So that's what I mean. So that's my vernacular. Interview response could be another way of saying it. Shamoon, what's up? I wanted to thank you for your, Andy and Kara, beautiful. We should all thank Kara. Please give Kara a shout out. If you recall, I was changing careers from cybersecurity to engineering. I start a new job in 2 weeks. Love it. Can we give Shamoon a huge live office hours, high 10 hugs and everything? Give Kara hugs too. Keep me in order. Polaris, top 10. How do you handle job description areas that you don't necessarily have experience with? Okay, number one, if you're in an interview, you're qualified. You should win the job. Okay, period. No exceptions. Now, you're going to say, well, Andy, I got the job interview, but I haven't done, I've done project management, but I haven't done it for, software as a service in healthcare. Okay. So you don't have the particular specific skill sets, but I'm interviewing for a project management position. You're qualified because you probably have tech implementations as a project manager. And if they are inviting you in, I assure you you're qualified, because I'm not wasting my time with people I can't hire. Okay. Meaning, or I'm not going to be willing to hire, which means you need to neutralize that gap. All right. So now you go into the interview. Now you take some comfort. You're qualified. Take some comfort. It's a good speculation that it's not what I call a key to hire. So keys to hire is gotta have PM experience, gotta have managed $1 million budget, because these are fairly big projects. Have to have managed people. I need that in there, right? I need somebody who's put the plans together. I need somebody who's got good communications. I need. These are absolute musts. Like, I can't do it without that. But you don't have healthcare SaaS? I can live without it. Or maybe you got healthcare SaaS, but you don't have this CRM implementation. I can live without it, kind of thing. So what you need to do is you need to draw analogies. Well, to implement a healthcare-like system, it has very similar, if they say, well, we noticed you don't have, as they should, because it's not on your resume, right? We noticed you haven't implemented this kind of solution in the healthcare space. That's true. But I have implemented technology systems 25 times, right? You're talking in terms of what you are, not what you're not. And don't use the words but. And the ones I had, these three were very analogous because, use the word because, I'm not even going to go on science or psych behind those, just because, give them the rationale. It was software as a service. It was very service oriented, where it was serving the businesses, which would be analogous to like the doctors and the doctor networks. And like, you need to draw analogies, which means you need to do a little homework, right? So that's what you're doing. And you're trying to focus on the analogies or making the play. The mere fact that you know that to draw the analogy says, oh, he understands the concepts. Polaris top 10, or he or she, right? Understands the concepts. Not worried. They got it, kind of thing. So you want to have neutralizers. I teach techniques. It's usually in the one-on-one sessions where I call them experience substitutes, where I have you preempt issues like this by saying things a certain way about certain aspects that you know you're concerned about, so you want to diffuse them. So, like the fact that somebody might not have worked with this particular product before, but has worked with something similar, and you notice something that's analogous where you pull an example to say this is how you would do it, is an experience substitute. So it's very easy. It's much easier to do than you would think. But that's a great question. Tisha, how do I determine if I'm ready for an executive leadership role? I have had business analyst and PM positions for over 18 years. Can we upgrade later? Absolutely. But there are many steps that you need to take, and it's not just about being equipped to be a leader and the know-how, because you also have to have the confidence, and you have to feel as though you can, and the way you portray yourself, and the presence, and all these other things. So for me, I'm all about, well, first thing I would do is I would talk to somebody in your line of work, or somebody like me, because I could break it down and I could tell you what the delta is going to be. If you say, Andy, I'm here and I want to be here, I could tell you exactly what the skill sets are you need. This is actually what I do with high performance coaching, is here's what you need. We put you on a plan and we're going to work these skills and you're going to answer to me, kind of thing. That's a way to do it. But assuming that you don't want to do that, you want to get with somebody who's in your space that understands the delta between where you are and where you need to be, preferably somebody who's there. What are the areas for me to improve? What are the skill sets I need to build? What's most important? So one of the things that I spend a lot of time doing in my high performance coaching, for those of you that are in my leadership coaching group, there are many skills that you can build. I have a methodology of the layers of these skills, what the skills are at each layer, the sequence you need to build them, and so on. There are people chasing skill development that are focusing on the wrong skills that are very meaningless in elevating you, or forget even promotions or titles or any of that nonsense. Just talking about you to become a more effective worker, or have a more effective career, or more enjoyable career, or more successful career. You have to know which skills matter. And all movement is not progress. In fact, hardly. Right kind of thing. It's got to be the right moves. The same thing goes for the skill sets. So to know if you're ready has to do with your ability to diagnose and self-assess what those skills are you need and where you are in that spectrum. If y'all like that, I have that in spades, and how to do that in the leadership coaching side, which is my other curriculum. But those are the steps that I would take. And yes, you can upgrade later in life, or later in whenever. Let me see how we doing on time. Do me a favor. If you are loving this, still over 200 you here. I love it. Click the thumbs up button. Please share this. People need help. If you like this, we're doing more of this tomorrow. And tomorrow's not just about doing this. It's about getting the whole system. Sue, that's SB for those of you that don't know. Agree, getting interviews is the easy part. I constantly feel underprepared to be at the cutting edge of the tech landscape and hard skill sets. Any thoughts from watching other job seekers? I would argue, Sue, that you being on the edge of tech has nothing to do with your job searching. We're going to talk a little bit about this next week. So as a sneak preview at the Thursday live office hours next week, which is about why you're not attaining your goals. And I know Sue said feeling under pressure about this from getting interviews, but this goes for your entire career development. The reason most of you don't attain your goals, or the reason people don't attain their goals, in large part, number one, is because you're not sacrificing and creating space in your life to work on the skills or do the things or the activities that ultimately help you achieve your goals. But let's put that aside for a second. Is you have to know, where am I going to study? What am I going to study? And where am I going to carve that out on my calendar? And what is it that I need to be learning? A lot of these cutting edge things, just remember something. The higher up you go and the more front tip of this sword you go, the less people available to help you. Okay, I don't have a lot of people to help me in my business. I have to look at it from different angles. Okay, when you start to become a leader, you don't have a lot of people to turn to. I know it's sad, it's true though. So you need to figure out a way to isolate what it is you need to do from a development standpoint so that you can keep growing. Do you know who does that for me? You do. I don't look at other career coaches. I don't look at other people like that. You tell me what you need, and then I make my stuff better. And then I reshape the way I say it, the way I teach it, how I deliver it, the different angles I give you, and so on. That's what makes me better. So I have to rely on that. You, until you reach a certain level, can do a lot of observing, figuring out, but then it's about creating space. So first question you get asked when you come to me for high performance coaching is, let me see your calendar. Because inevitably you're going to say, Andy, I'm a this and I want to be a this. And I say, let me see your calendar. And you say, why? Do you want to make an appointment? I say, no, I want to see where's all the time that you have in your calendar where you're performing the exercises to develop those skills. Because do you think it happens between 9 and 5? I don't think so. Right? You doing your job is going to get you good at doing your job. Right? If you want to have an awesome career, you work more on yourself than you do on your job. In order to do that, you have to do what? Create space in your life to do that. And if you can't create the space, you're not going to grow, or you're going to grow slower, or you won't be on the cutting edge, or you won't be a leader. It's for real. So, all right, let's see. What do I got here? Jamie, best way to use the posted JD for plotting your first 90 days. I love it. Love it. Okay, so for those of you that are in my job search coaching program, you likely have my first 90 days session, because I give it to you as a bonus because I want you to crush the first 90 days after you get the new job. For those of you that are in my leadership coaching program, you have an entire career accelerator program that is a 5-module thing that talks to you about the first 90 days and a bunch of other stuff. Now, when I look at the first 90 days, I want you to pause on the job description for a second. There are 12 steps. I'm not going to give them all to you right now. There are 12 steps you need to go through to crush the first 90 days. But the first one is, what does success look like? Hopefully you got that in the interview, because you shouldn't be taking a job unless you know what that looks like. And if nothing else, you should be putting the grid together that I talked about to lay it out. Okay, that was part of the salary picture I talked about. And then what you do is you make sure that you are crystal clear on what the first 90 days, what the first year looks like. Then you back it up to the first 90 days. What does first 90 days success look like? In order for you to attain success, there are multiple things that need to occur. 2 of them that absolutely need to occur is you got to finish the deliverables, whatever those deliverables are. Deliverable could be, I need to do a diagnostic on the whatever to put the year-long roadmap together to make sure, okay, it's a deliverable, fine. Okay, second thing that it gets attached to it, by the way, I teach this in my leadership coaching program. You go by deliverable and then you attach the skill. What skills do you need in order to do that? That's one element, 2 elements. Third element, who's the people? Who's involved in this? Who's giving me what I need? And who am I giving what they need? Where do I sit? Relationships, understand their motivators. How do I make your life better? When you give me this, wait, hang on. When you give it to me, make sure it looks like that. That'll save you time, no kickbacks from me. Saves you time. When you turn and you give it to somebody, What do you need from me? What does it need to look like? How do you use that? How do you benefit? How are you scored? And all that, because I'm looking at me in the context of them, not just me in the context of, oh my God, I got to research this and write a plan. Anybody can do that. You could do the job. You got hired to do that, right? What makes you crush the plan? And so there's a number of these steps. Now, so now you asked me about the job description. Well, the job description should be a conduit for building a success plan. Remember, in the job description, it said, here, wait, let me go back to this, because this is really great. In the job description, what did it say? Select, implement, and improve tools. What the hell does that mean? Right? What does improve tools mean? I can make one tool better. Right? So in your first 90-day plan, or in your negotiating plan, it needs to say, what improves the tools is building these, fixing these, having all 12 of them done. That's what success looks like. And then there's fallout and efficiencies and things from that. So in the first 90 days, if you don't have all that documented, meaning what does the first 90 days success look like? You don't know how you're going to be graded, and you don't know if you're actually going to be successful. So the goals and the success is rarely identified. Manage a team. What does success look like? Partner with divisions. What does success look like? None of this tells me what the goal is. Lead a team building and interviewing. What does success look like? Hiring 10 people or not? Making sure nobody leaves? Hiring people that stay the whole year? Right? Do you see how poorly job descriptions are written? Right? You can't ascertain that information. That's why you need to get it in the interview. That's why when you get it in the interview, you can make an argument for more salary. That's why when you start the new job, you know where you're going and what your deliverables are. Oh, leading hiring practice means get me to 10 damn people. Right? It means building all those tools. It means having the roadmap so we know what year one looks like. Who's tracking? Right? That's a great question. That's a great question. All right, wait, y'all. As much as I would love to stay here all day with you, I've got stuff to do. It's 12:26. Any questions that you have about any of the goings on over the next few weeks? I got a premium job search coaching program session tomorrow, more job description, more of this kind of kicking it back. With the crew, we do it on Zoom. I can see your face. It's a lot of fun. Next Friday, I'm at my leadership coaching session, goal setting. 15 easy steps to crush your goals. It's awesome. Did you know I wrote a book on goal setting called Out of Reach, but it's like using goals to achieve your impossible? On Thursday, the day before, free live office hours, we're going to talk about why you don't achieve your goals. Start thinking about that. We talked a little bit about that with Sue's question. And then what? I don't know. We got a lot of stuff going on. Here, grab this sucker. You got any questions? support@milewalk.com. Kara loves emails. I love emails. I like the ones where you tell me you get a job or you're loving life or whatever. You appreciate my videos. Any of that's good. All right, I got to get running. Thank you so much for sticking around. Appreciate all the engagement. Those questions were phenomenal. The fact that 203 of you are still here, you just can't know how much I appreciate it. I totally respect your attention. It's the greatest gift you can ever give me. Believe me. Yeah, I know I want you to buy my programs, but I really want your attention most. All right. Y'all be good. Give Kara a big hug on your way out. See you next week.